Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another episode of Askgufish. Before we get into it, you may notice that, for the first time ever, I'm wearing a band shirt. I went to go see Jared James Nichols the other night, and he absolutely killed it. It was kind of funny. Adam Neely was playing the same venue at the same time, so in a different room, obviously, but it was fun running into him. But yeah, I really dug the opening band as well. They're called Reverend Jack. They're straight up dirty southern rock. Anyways, go check them out. They're on Spotify and all that. And now, let's get into your questions. Hey Hunter, have you seen the new 2020 ESP lineup? The Phoenix 1000 models look kick-ass. Oh boy, it's finally that time of year. ESP has just released phase 1 of 4 of their new 2020 lineup, which is all about the LTDs. I love taking a look at the upcoming LTD lineups. To me, they've always been one of the major benchmarks for the direction of modern guitars. The actual guitar designs, the shapes are a little more conservative, which I like. Then they're such a large company, and because they have to produce so many models to be distributed worldwide, they're a little slower to fully commit to new features until they're sure they're gonna catch on. Right, a couple of years ago, everybody was all about the fan frets. LTD was super slow on that trend, finally released a couple of test models last year. Since then, the craze has kind of died down, and at least for phase 1, which we'll get into in a minute, they're nowhere to be seen. So anyways, let's take a look at the models. The biggest talking point, as Joshua pointed out, has to be the Phoenix 1000 models. Neck through construction, as a proper Firebird-inspired design should be. Comes in see-through black with Fish-influenced moderns, or vintage white with a Seymour Duncan custom in the bridge and a fat cat in the neck. Okay, I love my Fish influences, so it's super cool to see them in gold, in a Firebird-inspired design. And then that's a super interesting and uncommon Duncan combo in the vintage white. I mean, both these are super cool to me. I kind of like the vintage white better, so I would have loved to see influences in that one too, but now I'm just getting fucking greedy. Then obviously, for me, I scrolled right down to those single cuts. So there's 3 new EC1000s for 2020. 2 of them are lifted almost directly from the higher end Japanese E2 line. There's the full thickness black natural burst, and then the stunning blue natural fade on a burl top. Okay, so in general, I'm not a huge fan of these fades, but this one reminds me of a tropical beach, so I'm down. The first time I saw this kind of finish was on the Michael Kelly Patriot, way back when. Last year, both these finishes had black chrome hardware with EMG 66 TW and 57 TW pickups. These LTDs have black hardware and blacked out Seymour Duncan Sentient Pegasus humbuckers. There's also the Andromeda Burst, which even in person, last year's Arrow, I was very meh about. It's not terrible, it just doesn't really do anything for me. It does come with Fish-influenced pickups, which is awesome, but I would have much rather seen that Purple Sparkle make its way down into the LTD lineup. Come on, Purple Sparkle with Fish-influenced pickups? Here's to hoping it's in one of the next phases. The upper end Viper 1000 series is also back. Last couple of years, it's only gone up to the 400 series, if you don't count the 7-string black metal. Seymour Duncan Sentient Pegasus pickups, Tunematic bridge, comes in Purple Sunburst and Tiger Eye Sunburst. It's not something I knew I wanted, but I'm kind of loving the look of a full quilt top SG style guitar with a matching headstock. Then the extremely popular black metal series, there's 2 more. These are the ones that are completely blacked out satin finishes, Seymour Duncan black winter pickup, glow-in-the-dark side dots. The new ones are 6 and 7-string hipshot hardtail versions of the M shape. Honestly, I had to double check. I thought that they were already part of the black metal lineup, but no, they're new. I mean, makes sense to me. The only confusing part is why they took so long to join the lineup. The only thing I can think of is that Hipshot is a relatively smaller company and so in demand right now that I've heard it's actually quite difficult for large manufacturers to get the massive number of parts that they need. So LTD might have had to wait until this year to launch these hardtail string-through models. But speaking of Hipshot-loaded M-series guitars, there are 2 more outside of the black metal series as well. Again, 6 and 7-string versions. These ones have Fish-influenced humbuckers and black natural fades on burl tops. That super strat shape with the reverse headstock has never been very interesting to me, but I'm loving that spec combo. Then 2 new Horizon 1001s. Again, Sentient and Pegasus combo on both. The one in black natural fade burl has a Floyd, and the see-through black quilt has a hardtail. Basically, same ones we saw last year, just different finishes and minus the abalone. The single Purple Horizon 3 was looking a little lonely, so it's finally getting a couple of new friends. There's a string-through black turquoise burst with a hipshot hardtail, and then a see-through black sunburst with a Floyd. I demoed the H3 1000 when it debuted a couple of years ago, and it was okay. I like the build quality in the neck. and all the things I normally love about the 1000 series LTDs. Wasn't sold on the Duncan Custom 5 in the bridge, so it's good to see they're now going with the rest of the 2020s with a Sentient Pegasus combo. The other thing I couldn't bond with is how close the volume knob sits to the bridge. I couldn't stop hitting it while I was playing, so I wasn't too sad to see it go back to Sam Ash after the demo. So one of the big takeaways that I'm noticing from Phase 1 is poor EMG. I mean, remember 2 years ago, Fishman Fluence was nowhere on the lineup. They were almost like a novelty, like, ooh, is this the real deal? Are consumers gonna take to this new challenger in the active space? EMG was everywhere, it was on everything across the lineup. There was like one EC1000 that came with Duncans, and that was considered the black sheep. Now, 0 models in Phase 1 come stock with EMGs. Everything is either Fishman Fluence or super modern Seymour Duncans. It'll be interesting to see how EMG responds on the product side, because while I don't believe they're in trouble, like the 81 is as good as it's always been, it's also 40 years old, and they might be in danger of being left behind. What else? Oh, direct mount. Besides like the very traditionally inspired Phoenix and EC shapes that have pickup rings, everything else is direct mount. Like even the H3, which had pickup rings on the older model, the new ones are direct mount. It's cool, it doesn't work for every shape, and for work purposes, I prefer pickup rings because it's easier to change the pickups. Like the American aftermarket pickups never seem to work with the wood screws that come in import guitars, but overall, it's a sleek, modern look. So I can't help it. Every year I get hyped for the new LTD lineup. They are, however, very difficult to set anything up with. Like you'll notice that in the past year, I've done only one LTD demo. That was the Sir Headley 7-string, which I actually set up through Evertune because I just could not get in contact with ESP. You guys have been asking me, try the EC Black Metal, try the semi-hollow PS1000. I know, I've seen your comments, I'm working on it. You know, sometimes I'll get stuff through Sam Ash for deposit, and they've literally been out of stock of these models for the last year. So I'll try talking to them at NAMM again, see if we can get something sorted. I mean, that Blue Fade EC1000, yes please. In the meantime, definitely let me know which ones are you most hyped for. Poll in the top right. All right, thanks for sticking with me so far. Before we get into the next question, I want to talk about today's sponsor, D'Addario. I've gotten pretty good at saying that name, by the way. Been using it a lot because they've been great with supporting the channel these past few weeks. By now, you've probably heard me talk before about their new extended life strings, the XTs. It features high carbon steel wire and D'Addario's thinnest and most durable coating to date on every single string in the set, including the plain steel treble strings. So basically they feel just like normal high quality strings, only they last longer. It's what I've been using the last few weeks, and the strings still feel great. They're not rusted, they're not grimy. Unfortunately, no 7-string sets yet, which a couple of you have been asking about, but it does come in the most popular string gauges. And in addition to the electric sets, there's also acoustic, classical, bass, mandolin, and even banjo. Link to more information in the description, as well as to Sweetwater Atonement if you want to try them out. I highly recommend you give them a go, and I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. The XTs are great strings, and I think you'll love them. Alright, thanks to D'Addario for keeping me alive, and now into the next question. Any chance of seeing this on the channel anytime soon? So if you haven't joined the Discord server yet, yeah, this is basically what it's like, link in the description. I know, I'm sorry, I think Andrew Bain is more active on it than I am. But yeah, if you haven't tried the Halo Custom Builder yet, you are missing out. You can create some absolute monstrosities on there. You know, I've always wondered if Halo would actually build these things. How many trees is this anyways? Doing all of Mr. Beast's hard work. What's the cost on this? Like $4 grand? Like, how ridiculous can you get before they're just like, nah, fuck this, we're good, keep your money? I mean, the freaking jack plate is under the trem. Definitely needs more abalone too. It's so dumb, but it never hurts to ask. I guess I'll reach out to Halo for science. First there was the 6-string, then there's the 7-string. At some point, this was bound to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So if you guys genuinely want to see this, let me know in the comments. The more I can show you guys actually want to see this stupid, the less likely they are to tell me to get the f*** out. Any chance you'll check out Hard Luck Kings guitars? Okay, let me make sure real quick that Hard Luck Kings is the brand that I think it is. Yeah, it is. 0 f***ing chance. For whatever reason, I've been getting a lot of questions about these guitars recently. I guess they've stepped up their social media ad campaigns. I mean, these things are all over Facebook and Instagram. You've probably seen them. Their marketing angle seems to be super cheap guitars for assholes. Okay, that might be a little harsh. And some of the guitars, especially the satin ones or the sparkle ones, look pretty fun as mod platforms, but the ads just seem so desperate and out of touch, and the community just rubs me the wrong way. Like, this post on their official social media basically reads like a how-to guide on being a dick. It's just not something I want or need to be associated with. And apart from the very suspiciously positive reviews they promote on their website, I haven't heard many good things about the guitars or the company in general. And that's from people I know, not just someone posted some shit on Facebook. I'm sure I'm gonna get some hate from the rat bastard pack or whatever the owner calls them, so that's gonna be the last time we talk about them on this channel. Don't want to deal with that at all. Anyways, you know my stance when it comes to budget guitars. In terms of QC setup, quality components, and customer service, I think Harley Benton's the gold standard right now. Realistically, lower price guitars are always a bit of a dice roll, but Thomann has the buying power and the infrastructure to do budget guitars right. What do you think of My Chemical Romance reuniting? Indifferent? Do you think they might make another album? Yeah, there's been a lot of hype. My Chemical Romance was apparently huge in the early to mid 2000s. Personally, never really got into them purely because I haven't heard that much of their stuff. Again, it goes back to growing up in China. There were two main ways that we got our music. One, you'd buy pirated CDs from the local store. Never saw them there. Or two, you'd try to download them. You know, you started with the gateway drug of Napster, then Kazaa, then LimeWire. Like, who remembers downloading from LimeWire? That stuff was always mislabeled. You try to download like a Guns N' Roses song and it was 50-50. Is it a virus or is it porn? And of course the connection over there was always so half the songs wouldn't even finish downloading anyways. So from like the beginning 30% of whatever the most popular My Chemical Romance song was, wasn't for me. So I'm happy for all the fans, couldn't care less. Also, Rage Against the Machine, kind of the same story, but also kind of different. Like, I was never the biggest fan of the music, but come on, it's Rage Against the Machine. They're such legends, not just in the rock world, but in the greater music world. Like, what kid hasn't heard of Killin' in the Name of, or hasn't rocked out to Bulls on Parade and Guitar Hero 3? Sleep Now in the Fire is probably my favorite song by them. That opening riff is so sick. I'm excited to see if there's a new album because the entire thing behind their music was politically filled rage. Yeah, right before an election year. I don't think there's been a better time for a comeback. And now, of course, the moment you've been waiting for, where we hear from yet another adoring fan. It's the high praise of the week. And you're a never will be guitar player. It's not your fault because times have changed and that's just the way life is. What in the marijuana is a gateway drug loving is this? Okay, not gonna lie, this one confused me. Like, is he talking about himself? He's responding to absolutely nothing. Why would you even say that? And I like how he's edited it too. Like, yeah, this is exactly how I want to convey myself. So of course I hit him with the okay boomer because what else are you supposed to do? And good old Ken responded with, look, I don't mean any disrespect and I understand your passion for all things guitar. Unfortunately, guitar music has gone away in commercial music. You must play in front of living audiences with other musicians for a period of time before you truly become a seasoned player. I mostly see YouTube players these days who display a lack of real-world experience. It's where the world has gone. That don't make you a bad guy. You can make fun of me if you wish. One day you too will be older and hopefully a little wiser. Oh, I do wish to make fun of you, Ken, and I will. Okay, there's been some confusion. The okay boomer meme isn't directed at an age group. It's a response to a mindset. It's basically, thank you very much for the outdated condescension you've thinly disguised as unsolicited wisdom, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time nor the energy to unpack the out-of-date bullshit you've just spouted. Exhibit A, Ken. Ken is a fucking boomer. Up next, with absolutely no context required, Ken tells us how much better toast was before avocados got involved. If you disagree, don't worry, you'll understand when you're older, and, you know, hopefully a little wiser. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button, leave your comments and your questions down below, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. That actually really helps out. Links to social media, the Patreon community, and the Discord server are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.